Emberton was a sleepy little village nestled in the rolling hills of England, where the scent of damp earth mixed with the distant tang of the sea. The villagers had learned to keep their heads down, even as whispers of war buzzed like angry bees in the air. It was 1942, and the world was shifting beneath our feet like the ground after an earthquake. I was just a boy then, caught between the innocence of youth and the looming shadow of conflict. I still remember that early morning in July when the sun broke through the clouds, casting a golden light over the cobblestone streets. I was perched on the edge of the old stone wall, watching the men of Easy Company parade by, their uniforms crisp and their boots polished to a shine. They moved with a purpose, heads held high, yet I could see the worry in their eyes. The village was buzzing with excitement and anxiety, a strange cocktail that stirred in the pit of my stomach. "Oi, lad, you're gonna miss the show," called out Tommy, the butcher's son, as he ran past me, his laughter ringing out like a bell. I jumped down from my perch, eager to see what all the fuss was about. The training ground was a patch of grass that felt like a world away from the village's cobblestones. It was here that the men of Easy Company transformed from ordinary boys into soldiers. They yelled commands at each other, their voices echoing against the backdrop of the distant hills. The sergeant, a grizzled man with a face like a map of scars, barked orders as the men sprinted across the field, their bodies slick with sweat and determination. I watched from a safe distance, fascinated. The way they moved, the way they interacted, it was more than camaraderie. It was a bond forged in the fires of shared fear and shared dreams. "Look at him," Tommy said, plopping down beside me. "Think they'll make it to France?" "France?" I echoed, my heart racing. The thought felt so distant yet so close, like the sound of an airplane roaring overhead. "They'll be the ones to save us," he replied, his eyes bright with youthful optimism. As the months rolled on, the air grew heavy with anticipation. The men of Easy Company had grown from a group of strangers to brothers. I often saw them gathering in the village tavern, sharing laughter over pints of ale, the weight of the world momentarily lifted from their shoulders. But the night before D-Day was different. The tavern was unusually quiet, the air thick with unspoken thoughts. I slipped in unnoticed, drawn by the flickering light of the hearth. I found a shadowy corner, keen to listen. "Tomorrow we jump," one of them, a lanky fellow named Jake, said, his voice barely above a whisper, "behind enemy lines into hell itself." The others nodded, their faces serious. I couldn't fathom what they were preparing for. I could see their hands tremble slightly, but they hid it well, masks of bravado firmly in place. "Remember, we're not just soldiers. We're Easy Company," Tommy reminded them, a hint of a smile creeping onto his face. The laughter that followed felt forced, like a fragile glass on the brink of shattering. When the day finally came, the sky was a tapestry of grays, a heavy blanket that felt almost oppressive. I stood outside the village, heart thudding in my chest, as the rumble of planes filled the air. I watched as those brave souls soared overhead, silhouettes against the murky clouds. In that moment, the world around me faded. All I could see were the paratroopers, descending like eagles from the sky, gliding into the unknown. I felt a rush of pride mixed with fear, a cocktail of emotions I could hardly bear. "Look," I shouted, pointing to the sky. Tommy stood beside me, his eyes wide with wonder. "They're really doing it," he said, awe coloring his voice. "Godspeed, Easy Company," I whispered, not knowing if they could hear my prayer. Days later, news trickled back to Emberton like water through cracked soil. Easy Company had successfully landed, but the fight was far from over. They fought fiercely for Carentan, a town that had become a focal point of resistance against the enemy. I imagined the streets of Carentan filled with the sounds of gunfire and shouts, the smell of gunpowder hanging heavy in the air. I could almost see the soldiers, weary yet determined, as they pushed forward through rubble and ruin. With the war drawing to a close, the village transformed into a sanctuary of celebration. Banners flew and laughter filled the air as the men returned, each carrying the weight of stories untold. Will stood tall amongst them, a hero in our eyes. But to him, it was just a matter of survival. He shared tales of camaraderie, of battles fought side by side, the bonds of brotherhood stronger than any weapon. As night fell, the villagers lit lanterns, casting a warm glow over the celebrations. I watched as the men danced, their laughter mingling with the soft music of the night. The day of homecoming was one I would never forget. Families gathered, tears of joy streaming down faces as the men returned, heroes in every sense of the word. Will stepped forward, a look of determination etched on his face. We've come home, not just as soldiers but as brothers, and we'll carry the stories of those we lost forever. The villagers applauded, their hearts swelling with pride. We were all part of this, part of their journey, part of their fight. Yet, as the festivities continued, a darker shadow loomed. The reality of war weighed heavily on the men, the burdens they carried too great to bear alone. Will often stood at the edge of the village, gazing out at the horizon, lost in thought. I would join him, hoping to catch a glimpse of the boy he once was. Sometimes I feel like I'm still out there, he admitted one evening, his voice barely a whisper. I see their faces, hear their cries. The bonds of brotherhood ran deep among the men, a tether that anchored them to life. They formed a support network, sharing stories, laughter, and tears. I often found myself swept up in their camaraderie, witnessing the way they lifted each other up, a living testament to the power of friendship. Together we'll heal, Tommy said one night, his eyes glimmering with resolve. We faced hell and returned. Nothing can break us now. As the days turned to weeks, the weight of memory hung heavy in the air. We began to visit the memorials, laying flowers for the brothers who had fallen. It's important to remember them, he said softly, kneeling at a weathered stone. They fought for us, for our freedom. I watched him from a distance, my heart aching for the pain he carried. But I also felt the flicker of hope. He was healing, slowly but surely. With the war officially over, Emberton began to heal. The scars of battle remained, but the village found a rhythm again, a sense of peace that felt long overdue. The men returned to their lives, finding solace in the simple things, a warm meal, laughter shared with friends, the beauty of a quiet evening. Will took to gardening, planting seeds of hope in the earth, nurturing life where death had once thrived. It's a reminder, he said, that we can grow again. As time passed, the memories of war began to fade, replaced by the laughter of children playing in the streets. Will became a mentor to the youth, sharing his stories not just as a soldier but as a man who had faced the depths of despair and emerged stronger. Life goes on, he told them, his voice filled with wisdom, and we must live it to the fullest. The village transformed into a tapestry of life, colors blooming where darkness once reigned. Years later, as I stood on that same stone wall, I could still hear the echoes of easy company and the whispers of the wind. They had come to Emberton as soldiers and left as brothers, their legacy woven into the very fabric of our lives. Their stories became our stories, a reminder of the extraordinary courage found in ordinary men. And as the sun set over Emberton, casting a golden hue over the village, I realized that their fight had not been in vain. We had found peace, yes, but we also found a deeper connection, a bond that would forever tie us to those brave souls who have fought for our freedom. As I breathed in the cool evening air, I knew I would carry their stories with me always, a testament to their bravery and the enduring spirit of camaraderie. Ready to improve your English in a fun and engaging way? Start learning through stories today. Subscribe to Learn with Godson and dive into captivating stories that will help you expand your vocabulary, understand sentence structures, and practice pronunciation. Stories make learning English exciting and memorable. Join us on this journey and watch your language skills grow with each story. The voiceover in this video is given by Learn with Godson. Copying or re-uploading is prohibited.